Hello, folks. I'm OdinSpack, and welcome back to 33 years and counting of my favorite games. This is part 20, the year 2003. Now, the past two videos have been pretty long. I'm sorry. We're going to try and make this one a lot faster than usual, and to do that, I actually had to cut out some of my honorable mentions because I had way too many for this year. There was just so many good games that came out in 2003 that I like, but I decided to just cut down on them. There's still quite a few, but we're just going to power through them actually this time. So let's get going with my honorable mentions. Starting with Final Fantasy Origins. This is a PlayStation 1 compilation of Final Fantasies 1 and 2. The original 2, like the Japanese 2, not the SNES US version that was later 4. It's our first official launch of Final Fantasy 2. Gotta be honest, I'm not a huge fan of that game. However, I love all of the changes, graphical and mechanically, done to Final Fantasy 1. You can basically still play it in its intended form, but it has new music, new graphics, and a couple of just like quality of life improvements, such as being able to run on the map, which is really good. So there's Origins. My next honorable mention is going to go to Fire Emblem, also known as Fire Emblem: The Blazing Blade. This is on the Game Boy Advance. It is the first Fire Emblem released here, just as Fire Emblem. It's the seventh in the series, but it's the first one we got in North America. Like I said, it's now been localized as the Blazing Blade. This is the one that has Lynn in it. She's one of the main characters of the game, along with Ellawood and Hector, the main lords of the game. I think this has a really fun story. I think the gameplay is similar to like why I like Path of Radiance, because it's just like beginning to end, no nonsense, just classic Fire Emblem gameplay, which is what I really like. I think the randomizer has made me appreciate this game more. Um, but I don't like. I honestly I like the randomizer more than playing the original game. Not knocking the original game. I just think I prefer to play this one randomized than in its standard form. But I think it is a solid Fire Emblem game. Uh, the next next honorable mention, The Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition. This is a GameCube promotional disc that came with my GameCube. This is the first game I owned for GameCube, and it's just a collection of four Zelda games. The original Legend of Zelda on NES, Zelda 2 on NES, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time on N64, and The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask on N64. This also includes a demo for Wind Waker, as well as a couple of little featurettes, little fun little videos on it. It's a really neat compilation. The way I play Ocarina of Time these days is on here. The Majora's Mask version is not the best. Just it's prone to crashing, which unfortunately did happen to me the last time I played it, and I have not played it since. And I really enjoy the original Legend of Zelda. It's how I first beat it, and Zelda 2 is fine too. So it's just a bunch of games that I really enjoy. Next honorable mention is going to go to Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. Last video, I talked in length about how much I liked Mario Golf Advanced Tour. This is just more of that. This is the original one. I mean, it's not the original Mario Golf, but it's like, this came out before Advanced Tour, so it's like the original in this duology of games. Companion pieces again. It's probably, I said that Advanced Tour is probably my favorite Mario Golf game, but this one is probably the mechanically the best one to play, just due to how accurately you can place your shots in this game. Not to say that you can't accurately place them in Advanced Tour, I just think you have even more control in Toadstool Tour, and that adds a lot. Music's fantastic, of course. It's by Camelot, my boy Matoy, and it's got a pretty solid roster of Mario characters. And then you add on the advanced content, which I wouldn't really apply to this, but you could. If you do add that on, definitely puts it up. And then my last honorable mention is going to go to Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3. This is the Mario Advance remake, remaster of Mario 3. It still has the graphics from the All-Stars version, which kind of makes this a really unique version in that it's like a standalone release of that version of the game, which is kind of cool. Uh, the added features that are in Mario 3 are okay. However, where this really shines is the e-reader bonus content, which officially mostly came out on the Wii U re-release, which maybe I should have put this in that year, but whatever, it's here now. But technically all of that stuff could have been you could have scanned all of that in theory, even though most of those levels didn't release in North America. They were Japan exclusive e-reader cards. A lot of extra content buried behind a very inconvenient device. But the bonus e-reader content, well worth playing. You should buy the Wii U version. You still can. You can still buy stuff on Wii U. If you're watching this in 2022 and before the eShop closes in 2023, you can still buy stuff on there. I promise. All right. And it's Mario 3. There's not much more to say. I really like Mario 3. So, honorable mention. All right, let's go into my top 3 for 2003, starting with the bronze medal. And that's going to go to Final Fantasy Tactics Advance on the Game Boy Advance, as you can imagine. This is a sequel-ish to Final Fantasy Tactics on the PlayStation. I say ish because it's not a direct sequel, and I wouldn't call it a spiritual sequel or successor because it's definitely like the same series. But it's not a direct sequel. Like it's just like kind of like another entry in the. I guess it's kind of just like how Final Fantasy is. Like I wouldn't call Final Fantasy 6 a sequel to 5. It's definitely just like its own game. So I think it's kind of like that, where it's just kind of like another entry in the Tactics series. So Final Fantasy Tactics Advance introduces different races into the game. There's different playable races. And they each have their own selection of jobs within the game, which really adds to the customization you can do in this. I really enjoy how detailed you can make your army. Like there's definitely like very ideal builds you can do, but you can really make some goofy stuff in this one. There's a lot of optional content that you never have to do, and this is one of those games that even when you beat it, there's like more content after that you want to keep playing and you want to keep grinding. This is one of those few games that I've put over 100 hours into. Not many games I've probably put over 100 hours into, but Tactics Advance is one of those. I remember playing this on the bus in high school and just like on breaks when I could. Really enjoyed it. If you like turn-based strategy, I think the Tactics series kind of just does it best when it comes to like small armies. Fire Emblem's a little different with larger armies. Tactics is really cool with small armies with very customizable characters, and I think that's just what I love about this so much is how customized you can make everybody. My one downfall compared to the original game is you can't like recruit your own characters and name them. It's like kind of a small silly point that's not that important, but I kind of wish there was a rename feature in this game because I really like having like personal attachment to my characters. So it's kind of silly that you can't do that, but that's a small nitpick that's not really important to the game itself. So I honestly the stories are kind of like okay. I don't really care about it too much. This game's soundtrack is actually pretty good, which is surprising for a Game Boy Advance game because I've mentioned before the sound chip's not the greatest, but I think it does pretty good on here. So anyway, that'll be Tactics Advance. My silver medal is going to go to Final Fantasy XI, which I'm wearing the shirt. This is originally on the PlayStation 2. I played it on the PC. This is 2003 is actually the official release in North America. I think this game came out in Japan in like 2001, maybe 2002, but North America, the first release of this was 2003. This was Final Fantasy's first MMO. And what I like about this game is that it's dated. And I know that seems silly, but so many MMOs these days are just trying to be World of Warcraft clones. Final Fantasy XIV, as much as I think that's a good game, it's definitely one of those games. And to be fair, in Final Fantasy XIV's defense, it's definitely gone above and beyond. Like it's a really fantastic game. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like crapping on 14, but like at its core, like it was at first basically trying to like capitalize on that WoW success. They tried that game. They originally tried to go in the Final Fantasy 11 direction, and then people didn't really like it, and they kind of stuck to the WoW direction, and that worked a little better for them. But why I like 11 because it's dated is because it's a unique experience. Like it's still an MMO that you play online with other people, and trust me, this is a game where when it came out, I think now you can get through a lot of stuff on your own, but when it came out, you needed other people or you did not get stuff done. This was a very social game, and you needed to make sure that you just weren't a jerk on your server because people would find out and not want to play with you. Like it it was crazy. Like it was like that deep. You got friend circles. They were link shells in the game, and you kind of just stuck with them. Not to say that you didn't party with other people on the server, um, but like it was a truly social experience. That was all built around your character growth and kind of just like your growth as a person. It's weird to say that, but uh, this was like just like a big part of my high school and post high school life. I really enjoyed playing Final Fantasy 11. I had a very good bonding with my brother, who was also very deep into this game, who now plays Final Fantasy 14, which I don't. I did for a little bit, but not for very long. But it's a really cool experience. It is dated. I gotta say, I've gone back and I've tried to get into it, and I just feel like I'm not as social and I'm not as like confident as I once was when I've tried to replay it. And I had like I feel like even like 14 is kind of gone that direction where you can kind of just do a lot of stuff on your own now, which I think is kind of weird for a MMO. Like I would think of those kind of games as wanting to play with other people. So I kind of appreciate all the content locked behind uh, doing stuff with other people. I think that is, like a really cool way to experience the game. So not for everybody. I gotta say, you will either love this game or hate this game. There's not really an in between. I'm on the love camp. There's definitely nostalgia in there. So I'm glad that I was able to appreciate it for what it was. It is a very different game. So there you go. And now for my gold medal for 2003. It's a very safe pick. It's Pokemon Ruby or Sapphire, but I'm going to go with Pokemon Ruby just because it's the one I grew up with. On the Game Boy Advance, I spent way too much time on this game. This was the entry in the series where I finally took it upon myself to be like, I don't care if people think Pokemon is lame. I'm going to play this anyway. Because growing up, um, I was of the generation where Pokemon was a new thing, and then it became a kiddie thing, which is if you're my age now, you're like whatever, no one's gonna like my generation does not think Pokemon is a kiddie thing. Like they just don't. Um, it's a phenomenon. But I feel like with Gen 3, Pokemon Ruby Sapphire, people just stopped caring about the I don't know the definition. That's not the right word I'm looking for here, but regardless, people stopped treating it as a kids game anymore, and they just didn't care. They either liked it. It's an RPG. It's a fun RPG where you collect monsters and you level up, you grind, you try to make a great team. It's a cool experience. This is just another solid entry. This is probably my favorite entry in the series. As nostalgic as I am for Pokemon Red and Blue, and possibly even more so Gold and Silver. Um, I think Ruby is just my favorite game. Just I love the music. By the way, Game Boy Advance game doesn't matter. Sounds great. The music in this game is fantastic. They just did it right. I love the graphical art style to this. It's very simple, but it feels right. Nothing feels wrong about it. I just spent so much time in this game. I just put so many hours. Just loved it. And like I said, it's another solid Pokemon game, and it's just my favorite because I just spent so much time on it. I mentioned this when I got my DS Lite in the past video or two. This was technically my first game for my DS Lite because I didn't have a DS game, so I just kept playing Pokemon Ruby. I love this game. This would be one I would love to do a Let's Play of in the future because if I'm gonna ever do a Pokemon game, it's gonna be that one. I mean, I did do trading card game, but regardless, if I ever were to do a main one, it would probably be Pokemon Ruby, just because I love it. So yeah, there you go. There's my 2003, and we got through this a lot faster than I normally did. So there we go. Let me know what you thought. If you have different games, some of which that I left off on this list, I'm sorry that I did, but I had to cut some stuff for time, and mostly because I was like, do I really need an honorable mention in these? Probably not. So I will see you next time for the year 2002. I've been OdinSpack. Catch you later. Goodbye.